job search. Of course, the second session will be delivered by one of our leading academics, Professor Reza, Salehnejad. So you all have heard of him or taken the course with him. But without any further ado, and because we don't want to run out of time, I would want to welcome everyone joining us on Zoom also, and warm welcome. We will start with Tim. So just a brief introduction about Tim. Tim is a seasoned construction and real estate executive who has demonstrated experience in developing the strategy, tools, assurance, governance, and protocol in order to ensure value-added and successful outcomes for major real estate and infrastructure clients. In a UK and Middle East-based career spanning over 22 years, Tim's career has transitioned from traditional consultant-based roles in commercial management to strategic client-side roles focused on business efficiency and enhanced performance through digital enablement and innovation. In his current role as Operations Director for Technology and Advisory for Omnium International, Tim's role is to drive digital transformation through AI adoption, process automation, and innovation. Tim also leads technology alignment with governance, enhances cybersecurity, fosters client-focused digital advisory services, builds strategic tech partnerships, and showcases Omnium capabilities to businesses. As an industry change champion and thought leader, Tim has a passion for bridging the gap between industry and education in order to nurture the required emerging skill sets necessary to support the required change in the CRE industry. Tim has spoken at numerous public events with regard to the importance of collaborative partnerships between educational institutions and private industry as a means of integrating the knowledge value chain to develop the workforce of the future. You have also not mentioned that you're an alumni ambassador of the university, teaching assistant, mentor, and many more. So please welcome Tim Shelton.
Thank you. Well, that was quite the introduction. I think I probably should have used ChatGPT to shorten my bio and make it a little bit more pointy. Yeah, Happy New Year. Good to see so many faces tonight. How many of you, just by raise of hands, how many of you left UAE went travelling over the New Year or festive period? Okay, keep your hands up if you came back sick. Yeah, probably a good 75% of you. Yeah, I was in that group, unfortunately. So, I think what makes me qualified to talk to you about this tonight is actually two reasons. One, I've been in the field of digital transformation and tech probably for the last, well, approaching the last decade actually. But secondly, I actually found myself in the job market from July of last year. And it's a tough place to be. It really is. Especially in this part of the world, actually. I'm a Brit, as you're probably aware. You don't have the safety net of home to catch you. So really, it's just about really articulating what your proposition is, and proving your worth in a market that is constantly evolving. I think we'd all agree with that at the moment. The job market now is incredibly different to when I first entered it in 2002. Sorry, showing my age there. So today, I just want to take you through some of my own personal journey, some of my experiences, and then my views on how you can use different frameworks and look through different lenses to help you shape your brand, your positioning in the market, given all the changes that we're subjected to. So that's me. I'm not going to go through that because I think Hiba covered most of that in the introduction. I am operations director for a small to medium-sized organisation based here in Dubai. We basically provide commercial project management, dispute management solutions to the construction real estate industry. And I've been brought in. I'm now first day of my third week, so still quite wet behind the ears. I've been brought in to drive technology adoption and really help the company push on in terms of AI adoption. So yeah, as I said, I'm going to take you through a little bit about my personal journey. We'll still get some anecdotes before looking at some of the trends and insights coming from industry at the moment. and then finishing on some of the tools that we can use, more specifically, the business model canvas, and how we can use AI in conjunction with that in order to help us shape our proposition, our brand position.
But need you to raise your voice a little bit because the back they can't hear.
Oh, really? Okay, it's not usually a problem. I'll try my best. So, always think it's nice to sort of show my career journey since I started in 2002, so you can have a good guessing my age. That's when I graduated with a geography degree in the UK. Didn't know what I wanted to do, fell into the construction and real estate industry, and ended up becoming a quantity surveyor. Anybody know what a quantity surveyor is? Beam counter, contract administrator, basically somebody who looks after the commercial interests of a client in the mainly in the construction real estate market. I had a number of different roles. I moved out to Dubai with the company I started with in 2002, back in 2008, which is great timing because it was just a few months before the global financial crisis. And that really, for me, was kind of a major sort of fork in the road, I guess you could say. I wanted to know more about why this happened. And I wanted to understand how I could make myself more resilient in a changing market. I've been made redundant at that point. We've been doing a lot of work for one of the major real estate developers here called Nikhil, who are now back, but in a slightly different guise. 80% of our pipeline of work was through Nikhil. Nikhil basically fell off a cliff. All that pipeline went along with our pipeline. So I found myself in a position where I had to get a new job, couldn't go back to the UK, there was nothing there. So I moved over to Qatar. At the same time, that's when I decided to take the MBA at Manchester Business School. As I said, I wanted to acquire new skills, make myself more resilient. So if that ever happened again, I wouldn't be worried so much. And actually, it served me well for the last couple of months where I found myself in the job market. So I had a stint in Qatar. I moved over to the World Cup program. I spent a couple of years on the World Cup program. That was really interesting, doing strategic planning, doing some tech adoption, digital transformation stuff. Then I moved back to Dubai. Spent some time with a developer called Miras, who you probably know, probably more of their failures than their successes, unfortunately. Notably that big wheel, which has become the world's most expensive light show, I think, in Blue Water Island.
It's back running.
It's running, is it?
Yeah.
Since the end of the year, yes.
We opened it just before the year.
Yeah, they was increased up that hub in the middle then. And then since 2017, I moved back into consulting where I've been doing digital transformation, innovation, all that kind of fun stuff that we all like to talk about now. I did that up until the end of summer of last year before, going into the job market. This slide isn't necessarily just about telling you about my career trajectory. It's more around the trends that have shaped my career trajectory. So I joined when it was really cool to have one of these. One of those bricks, the BlackBerry. If you're really important, you got the blue one with all the keys on it. Remember the flashing red light when you got an email? It's probably more distracting than a smartphone in a meeting. It was the days where LinkedIn was introduced as a platform. So I realized actually recently I became one of the first users of LinkedIn. Don't know if that entitles me to anything, free membership or anything, I don't know. Facebook was being launched, Twitter, now X obviously, and the Nintendo Wii. That was fun, wasn't it? You used to be able to sit on your sofa and just play tennis whilst eating a hamburger at the same time. The iPhone arrived around the same time as I moved out to Dubai. We then got the social channels coming, the iPad arrived, Instagram, Google Glass, which turned out to be an immense flop, but it's now supposedly coming back. We had the Apple Watch, we had Tesla, the arrival of TikTok, and now obviously this new era of Gen AI, ChatGPT, Copilot, all the rest of it. And what I've tried to do throughout my career is just stay ahead as much as I could do in terms of these tech trends, because ultimately, there's a demand from business. So if you know how to implement and the use cases around that technology, it's going to serve you well. And that's essentially gone into overdrive when it's come to AI. There's a lot of companies right now who understand the need, they even understand the use cases, they just don't know how to deploy it. So that's kind of really where I've come in more recently. I'm not going to read all through that, but the WEF recently published their Future Jobs Report for 2025. Some of it is new, a lot of it they've already told us before, but I think it actually paints more of a positive picture for the job market moving forward, in the sense that they believe that 78 million net jobs will be created. So putting aside all the ones that have been lost and the ones that have been brought in, that is the positive impact. So there's actually going to be more jobs created through the arrival of these new AI technologies. It's great, but it means we need to upskill. And more importantly, we need to know how we position ourselves, not just in the job market, if you're in the job market, but also how to position yourselves within an organization as well. So we know all this stuff, automation reduces clerical administrative roles. Any role that is very process heavy, data heavy, those are going to be the first ones to go. So these are the ones that we have to be mindful of, become more resilient. If an element of our current job involves that kind of stuff, I can't expect with this audience necessarily that it will affect too much of us. 39% of job skills will transform by 2030. That's quite an alarming statistic, I guess. So pretty much half of the skills that we currently have will transform in some way over the next 5 years. Again, which just underlines the need to upskill and to kind of find our position within the market. Broad digital adoption reshapes 60% of business operations by 2030. So I guess that's what I've been brought in to do in terms of my new role. And I think the mix between sort of the green economy, sustainability and technology is an interesting sort of mix as well. So sustainability really is dependent on technology and vice versa. So it's kind of a symbiotic relationship. So having an eye on sustainability, carbon, but also having another eye on technology at the same time is really going to serve you well. I'm a dad. I've got 3 boys, an 11-year-old and 2 13-year-olds. Lucky me. They stink now. They reach 13. They're kind of not quite an age where they're interested in girls, but nevertheless going through body changes, and it's just, yeah, I won't go too much into detail, but anyway, I'm departing. They're kind of looking to me and said, Tim, well, what do you think I should do at university? Should I do a coding degree? Should I do computer science? And I'm like, actually, there's a lot to be said for actually getting more into humanities and doing that more creative stuff, the kind of soft, those kind of courses that demand more softer type skills, because those are the ones that ultimately cannot be replaced by technology. And you're going to need those sort of skills to understand how AI and technology fits into an organization. So I think that just paints a bit of a picture that we're probably aware of, but again, just adds to a bit of context. So, given all of that, how can we use different tools, different frameworks to help us develop our brand position, to our elevator pitch, or call it what you want. Having been through this over as I said, the last 4 or 5 months, one way that I actually found quite useful was to look at it through the lens of the business model canvas. So I'm sure most of you are aware of the business model canvas. I'll go through it in a little bit more detail at the moment. I use the business model canvas a lot in terms of incubating startups, for looking at new go-to-market strategies, for looking at a new idea. Because it gives you that holistic idea of holistic picture of what that value proposition around that new tool or solution or startup can provide to the market. So it's actually a useful point of reference for us as individuals. and how we engage with the market. So it's useful in terms of how it maps personal skills, technological expertise, and human-centric capabilities to define a compelling value proposition that meets industry demands and enables yourself to adapt to emerging trends with clarity and focus. Sounds great, isn't it? It's not a silver bullet though. It's just a few ideas. So I'm not going to go through all of those, and hopefully we can make this presentation available to those of you who are here. But is that right? We can email this out, whatever, or make it available. These are just some of the questions that you can ask yourself in terms of the various components of the business model canvas to help you define ultimately what your value proposition is. So what sets you apart? What is the value that you add to an organization? And what it does is it provides some questions about essentially where your gaps are, what your strengths, what your weaknesses are. So let's just take key partners, for example. So how can your network help you access job opportunities? We all know that networking is important. Are there any professional associations or communities that I can join in order to upskill and to demonstrate, to validate my skills in the market? Look at the recruiting landscape. How can you build relationships with industry thought leaders who can provide testimonials and references? So, these are the sort of questions you need to be asking yourself for each of these sections. In terms of key partners, one of the things that I quickly realized when I was beginning to talk to people is actually, it's not just your skills and capabilities that matter. The value of your ecosystem or your network actually is very compelling to organizations now, especially when we're operating in this new world where you've got a myriad of different large tech vendors, startups, industry disruptors, where actually there's a lot of value to be had from across that ecosystem. And it's really identifying who you want to partner with will make sure that you win the game in the long term. And I'll come back to more of that in a moment. So again, customer segments. Who are your ideal employers? What specific roles? Are there any niche markets? Who are key decision makers? What the demographic or geographic regions should I prioritize for my search? All of these really, really valid questions, and more importantly, prompts you can feed into AI. Don't jump straight to AI. That's always the first rule that I try and communicate with people who are in this type of situation. AI is a tool. It's a reference. Always jot down what's in your head first before you then go to AI. AI really should be the tool for filling in the gaps. And this is a useful framework to plug into that. Channels. LinkedIn is great. It's not great at some things. I don't know if any of you actually applied for jobs through LinkedIn as a platform.
Yeah.
What's your experience?
Jesus.
It's pretty horrendous, right? Especially when you find the job of your dreams and you look at how many applicants there have been today, and it says something like 550. It's like, well, my CV is just going to get lost, isn't it? The algorithm basically is going to choose whether I reach the top of the pile or I just get thrown straight in the bin. Unfortunately, what I've also come to learn with LinkedIn as well is that there's actually what they call ghost posts or ghost opportunities where companies are using as a means of signaling to the market they're recruiting all these people in tech and AI and data analysts. Actually not. They're just using it as a marketing tool, which is wasting our time as job seekers. So actually, the jobs board on LinkedIn, I think you're lucky actually if you get anything out of it. So you've really got to approach this in a different way. It's about using your network in order to talk to people, to find the opportunities to put some thought leadership out there, to drive your brand, to open up conversations, and then you go from there. These are just So I developed a slide deck when I was looking for jobs. I developed a slide deck where I would start to have initial conversations with people over a Zoom call or coffee or whatever, and I'd begin to build a picture of what that organisation is. I'd then I'd then use AI, ChatGPT, as a means of trying to understand strategic drivers on that organisation, some of their challenges in terms of the industry dynamics, and I'd come up with a blueprint, if you like, where I could help demonstrate the value that I could have to that organisation. So a SWOT analysis, we all know how to do a SWOT analysis. That's very simple. And again, it's something that you can use AI to do really easily for you. Then I always like to punch it into threes in terms of the sort of framework that I would then use in order to help that organisation transform. This is kind of irrelevant, it's just to show you my thought process and how I went through some of this stuff. I then developed something like this, which is, again, I love to work in threes, which you can probably see. So starting with the transformation objectives of that organisation, and again, using a combination of conversations that I had, AI, my own experiences, shape what their objectives are, and their, the typical sort of high-level metrics around business performance, and then using those three pillars, diving down into a little bit more detail about how I could offer some support around the framework and help them overcome their challenges as a business. I'm not saying that you should do this. It was just the way that my mind worked. It was useful to kind of plot down my ideas and how my ideas would then support that organisation and driving more value in this complex tech-driven world that we work in. This was the clincher. This is what got me my job. I was told after I presented. These are organisations, yes, but more so it's my professional network who represent these organisations. And this has increasing more value, it appears, for organisations who are currently recruiting in the market at the moment. So the fact that I do a lot of work at Manchester Business School means a lot to organisations because it demonstrates thought leadership, demonstrates connection with research and development type initiatives. I mentioned them. Tech vendors, Autodesk, Oracle, Procore, Microsoft, again, it points towards value in terms of we do business with these big tech companies. If you know them, then we're kind of more confident they're not going to rip us off. But then also, look at the other end of this, the ecosystem as well. So some of the startups. So, how can those startups bring value to their organisation? So that's all very well, Tim, but how does AI work in all of this? Well, you can overlay AI capabilities on that framework that I just went through. So these are just some ideas where you could use AI in order to help you answer some of those questions that were on that original framework. Again, I won't go over them. I've made this available to everyone after the presentation. But in terms of content creation, obviously Gen AI is really, really useful. But don't go to it as the first point of reference. As I said, always get your own thoughts down and use it in order to fill the gaps. What it is useful is what I found is if you do begin to think in terms of structure and frameworks and things like that, if you then feed that structure and framework into Gen AI, it will come back with some very specific responses that will help you in terms of developing your brand position and value proposition, etc. And I've got to say, my job search was entirely AI powered. 75%, I would say, of the content I created, I used AI for, which, when I look back to when I was applying for jobs too many years ago, it didn't even feature. You were really having to do the legwork. This just adds a lot more value to it. It enables you to pivot from opportunity to opportunity a lot easier. I always used to become I think, too focused on one particular opportunity. And then the opportunity cost of ignoring all the others that were coming my way was, was a real cost in itself. So, this enables us to cover more of the market by just helping us find that that value proposition. So just to finish then, some of the strict instructions not to exceed 25 minutes, 20 minutes. Yeah, all right, I've got 5 minutes, okay. So just 3 takeaways then. Work smarter, not harder, but there are no shortcuts. You still have to put the work in, ultimately. As you become more senior, you have to prove more of your value, unfortunately. But I think with the tools that are out there, and if you use sort of structured frameworks to structure your thoughts, you stand a lot better chance of getting the the job that you want and to stand out within your own organisation. This isn't just for job seeking stuff. Yeah. So think of your skills and expertise as a value proposition that you take to market. So think of yourself as a product even, and how you would sell that product to market. And lastly, be proactive, get ahead of the trends. Don't be reactive. AI is moving at such a pace, or technology rather, more generally is racing ahead at such a pace that we need to try and get in front of it and never stop learning. I think that's why we're all here, right? That's why I continue to be an active alumni from Manchester. I have a thirst to learn, I have a thirst to meet new people. And that's where I would leave you with that message tonight. So
Thank you so much.
I hope that's useful.
Is this you?
Is that me? I actually met my wife on the zip line in Ras Al Khaimah. No, I didn't meet her. Tell a lie. It was our first date, actually. On that very zip line. Yeah, she was acting all cool, and I was just like a nervous wreck. So yeah, it's good. But yeah, as I said, hopefully you found that useful. We made the slides available afterwards. Hopefully it's a kind of useful framework. So,
Thank you so much. Quick questions, we can take 2 minutes. Yes. Our next session in 2 minutes.
First of all, this approach is so helpful for targeting the right market segments. But I would say there are some things which been facing a lot of struggle because of external factors coming into the picture. If you see on the big picture, so we'll find a lot of noise in the data. I say, as you said, linking in one of the examples, you can't able to more likely to think about that when you apply it, you don't know that either you get the response or not. But these are the things like my brand value and my experience when I trying to link with the external factors, I couldn't able to find out which one is the right for my brand and which one is the wrong. Because as you said that at the end it will waste our time and efforts.
Yeah.
So that projections is lacking, which I feel that is the gap of projecting the right things for.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, what you're always told when you apply for a new job, right, is research that organisation, go on their website, find more about them, find out who their clients are, find out, what the testimonies are, whatever. I think where AI makes a bit of a difference now is we can develop those broader insights around specific industries, right? And then you can then link your current skills profile and capabilities profile with those trends, and then ask AI, what value can I add in terms of my current stock of skills and capabilities to then, support either mitigation of risk within those industries or to add value around those trends. And that was an interesting sort of correlation that I was able to make you know, when I use AI as a tool to develop my proposition, it's ultimately around integrating data models, right? To then understand and drive value from those, from mashing together those data models. So if you think of it like that, it's a useful kind of analogy as well. But no, look, I take your point. You know, we'll never know everything. Some of those data points may be a little bit murky. We have to be aware of the limitations of AI. You know, there's bias. You know, I'm thinking a lot of the Gen AI tools as well. There's, you know, they can be a bit hallucinogenic, so to speak. So you've got to be mindful of that. But you know, hopefully with your, you know, with your intuition and your, you know, your experience of business more generally, you can begin to see through some of that and fact check. Obviously, fact check everything.
Thank you. Any other questions? Well, thank you so much. Thank you. Round of applause. This brings us to the second part of our session with our second speaker, Dr. Reza Salehnejad. Of course, everybody knows Dr. Reza, but Dr. Reza is a distinguished academic, an expert in economics and strategy at Alliance Manchester Business. With a strong background in applied economics, Reza specializes in strategic decision-making, business strategy, and the intersection of economics and leadership. His extensive research and teaching portfolio focuses on equipping professionals and organizations with critical insights to navigate complex business environments effectively. Renowned for his engaging approach, Dr. Reza has collaborated with industry leaders worldwide, delivering impactful executive education programs and fostering innovation in economic strategy. Please welcome Dr. Reza.
Yep. Good. We have my own.
Oh, okay, sure.
That's great. That's great.
So thank you so much. And basically, almost lots of big phrases here. I know them. I'm going to start with a couple of basic apologies. First, basically, the first speaker made my life a little bit difficult. That's definitely the case. The second one is that I think I was asked to run this session a little bit late. And then I was unfortunately hospitalized for basically a few days. And then I started teaching. So I had some plans for basically this evening, but unfortunately did not have time to basically do justice to what you basically could possibly offer. So some of the topics that I have covered, basically you might have heard of it, but there are a couple of basically recent papers that I'm going to discuss, hopefully basically make adequate value so that they haven't, wasted basically your time. So I'm going to apologize in advance if there are shortcomings basically in the talk. My talk would be a little bit different. It's about basically the big picture, but I think the directions I'm going to go, what type of expertise you need to develop actually to be competitive in the market. That would take a little bit of time to develop, so I'm going to take you step by step. So I'm basically general picture where the AI is basically going, what are the capabilities emerging, and then we take it from there. So, one of the fascinating questions that we have, the kind of questions that have been engaged with it. So what do historical data on jobs and automation and technological advancement tell us about the future of the world? As an MBA student, basically younger generation, one of the things that you think about it, how the job market is likely to evolve, and consequently, what type of expertise you need to develop in order to remain competitive in the job market. That's the kind of basic topics that I'm going to focus on. And how advances in AI, in particular, basically Gen AI, likely to shape the future of work. That's basically my focus. It's a kind of a strange, and I didn't know that Manchester is quite a strange place, because actually it's a kind of a birthplace of automation. Automation is started from Manchester and around Manchester. And if you go back to 1812, around basically 20 were hanged and were killed around Manchester because they were against automation. At basically Manchester was the birthplace of the textile industry. When the industry started, it was labor intensive. Then machinery basically came in and started automating the textile industry, and basically workers were quite basically upset. They started attacking the factories and the machine, and they burned them. Almost 2,000 workers from Manchester and around Manchester were placed in the ship and sent to Australia, and they never came back. Absolutely. That's basically the starting. And you can see they got really the large movement. Many of them basically were hanged in Europe and around Europe. What is the beauty of this story is that basically automation that we are basically scared about it is something not recent. It's basically, it has been with us for more than 2 centuries. So another anecdote to just build up the discussion is this. You know, President Johnson in the US, at that time in 1966, they were quite basically worried about the automation and what the automation would do to the job and how the workers need to basically get ready for the future. So President Johnson set up a committee to study the impact of automation on the job market. Okay. And the committee came up with basically this sentence. This sentence comes from the report prepared with by that committee in 1966. And it's beautiful. Basically, this sentence is really deep, and that make us think. So what is that sentence? Okay. So the committee came back saying that, look, the link between job and income is broken. There is no, in the past, there was a link between job and income. You work in a firm and you were paid. And what this guy basically in 1966 said, the traditional link between job and income is being broken. The economy of abundance can sustain all citizens in comfort. So they said that sooner or later, we would have an economy that you don't need to work and you have basically enough income to survive. Okay. 1966, they didn't have. They still have lots of jobs, am I right? And then basically, tech guy, very dominant in 2014, predicted that by 2025, there will be no need for humans. Simply, okay? The future doesn't need us. So we said that the central question of 2025 will be what? What are people for? Everything that we need to do, the machine could do it. Do we need any expertise? Okay. So what I'm going to say that is this, that basically this basic concern about automation and the jobs that are basically jobs are at risk, the link between income and basically jobs are broken is not something recent. Okay. So this is basically quite a nice anecdote. Look at this anecdote. I go to the things that you are interested in a minute. So there was a kind of article that in the future, in a factory, in a firm, there will be two basically live being. One would be basically a human and a dog. And the human is there to feed the dog, and the dog is there so that the man does not touch the machine. Okay? Everything is done basically with the machine. And you can see that was the kind of picture that, again, that has not happened. Okay? This is the picture that we have in the US. Okay? In the US, as I said, there was enormous concern for basically many decades that sooner or later automation basically kill all the job and there will be no prosperity and no opportunity for individuals. But at the moment, almost even basically since 2015, 70% of men that can work, they have a job. And actually, the percentage, the fraction of basically women that they were seeking for the job is much, much higher than 2 or 3 decades. Okay? So at the moment, basically in the US, 60% of women that could work, they have a job. But in basically 1900, only 20% of them had a job. So although we had enormous amount of automation basically over the last 100 years, but we all basically there's still a job out there. Okay. This picture is quite basically beautiful for beautiful. Okay. So look at this picture. Okay. So here in 1900, I go back to AI in a minute. I think this kind of a background is actually quite important how to think about the future. So in 1900, almost 30% of the population in the US working in agriculture. In 1900, 30% of the population in the US working in agriculture. But these days, it's around basically 1 or 2%. So the fraction of people who work in agriculture is much, much lower than they used to work. 30% in 1900, but 1% in 2025. Okay. So in that segment of the market, we lost the job. In agriculture, the enormously basically jobs were lost and disappeared. Everything basically automated. But then what happened? Then we had basically professional and cognitive skills in that segment, job basically expanded. So here, the black line is the agriculture, but non-agricultural cognitive jobs expanded. Okay, that's this one. This comes from David Arthur from MIT. So he's basically, they set up an institution and they are studying the future of basically jobs and the future of employment. They have done extensively to research. What comes out of the data is this, that 63% of the jobs that we have now, they did not exist in 1948. If you go back to 1948, 63% of the jobs that exist, they did not exist. So although we have been basically having automation from basically 1915, 1914, but 65% of the jobs that these days we have access to it did not exist. Okay? So jobs like this, okay? I mean, no one at that time in 1940 talked of artificial intelligence, but that has become an enormously growing sector. Okay. So I mean, not many of them, it's the wind turbine. No one at that time was thought of wind turbine, but we have an enormously large growing segment in many countries that. So this is quite an important point. That there's lots of jobs that we have, more than 60, basically close to 64% of the jobs that we have these days did not exist in 1940. 1940. Okay. So, okay, for example, the professional, basically beauty, professional jobs that we have in the banking, in healthcare, and in other service sector. So here, the red one is the kind of jobs that these days exist. Is the fraction of jobs, professional jobs that exist, but did not basically exist in 1940. Okay, moving on for the introduction. So what was the impact of this? We have had enormous job. What are we talking about basically about this? Okay, I'm going to ask a question, and what is that question? So we have been basically having automation for many, many decades. Lots of jobs is automated, but other jobs were created. Okay, I'm going to discuss with you a little bit what type of jobs we have been creating over the last 5 or 6 decades, and then ask this question: whether AI is a different technology and would impact the job market in a different way, or in a sense, AI, in particular generative AI, is a continuation of the kind of technologies that we had in the past. I think if someone is going to think of the big picture and then draw a conclusion, that's the important question. That although we have basically automation so far, but that automation led to new jobs, and still we have plenty of jobs. But the question is this: whether basically AI, and in particular generative AI, basically attacking the job market in a different way than the previous round of basic automation. That's the kind of question that basically going. And that, I think, is quite important in understanding what type of skills you basically managers need to develop. So what are the differences between the previous round of automation that we experienced and the recent round of automation that comes? Let's give you kind of a picture where I'm going. I started with this traditional wave of automation that affected the economies, but as you can see, automated the agriculture sector, but other sectors basically emerge. Okay. This is quite a nice picture. I love this picture. Okay, this piece of data, and this also comes from David Alt. And I want basically, we put basically, sometimes I put with MBA classes, I need 2 or 3 minutes of your beautiful life to go through this picture, okay? So, I mean, look at this basically, okay, what is this piece of data is about? On the horizontal line, what I have, on the horizontal line what I have, is basically a measure of skills required for different jobs. So early on, basically from 0 to 20, are the manual skills. So you go basically and work in a bar, in a cafe, in a restaurant. That's the kind of jobs. And basically at the top level, you have a high cognitive skills, like basically surgeon, like basically programmers, like mathematicians. In the middle, we have a medium skill jobs, the kind of job basically a personal bankers have. Okay. So what this piece of data capture, there's the complexity of jobs in terms of skill. The lower part, lower skill manual jobs, and basically the higher part are the higher skill cognitive job. I think this is quite important. If someone is going to understand how AI is going to reshape the job market, this is quite critical. So far, automation attacked the medium skill jobs. It was not capable of attacking the cognitive job. So the manager's jobs were safe. The programmer's jobs were safe. Okay? So the physician jobs were safe. So what basically we see in the previous round of workshop, basically the previous round of automation, they attack the medium basically skill jobs. So look at the salesperson. In most of the basically chain stores that you have the machine that has automated the sale. That's kind of medium jobs. So previously, this type of job were automated. But what is AI? And what basically AI is, which part of the job basically spectrum AI is attacking, okay? So I think one important characterization of AI is that AI is a cognitive automation technology. So previously, the kind of automation that we had, it attacked the manual job, it attacked the routine jobs. So the routine job that we had in the banks, we could write an algorithm that instead of human, does the routine job. Okay? But what is happening now? What is happening now? Okay. The idea that I have is this. Okay. What I'm going to show you is this. That this recent basically wave of automation is totally different. The first thing, the kind of skill that is attacking is so different. It's the cognitive skill. Previously we thought that basically writing a poem, writing a paper, writing group presentation, analyzing a business report. These are the kind of skill, cognitive skill of which are unique to human. In the past, we had automation in the auto industry, but people basically moved toward programming, software, and cognitive skill. And those type of jobs compensated the job that were lost. So we lost that type of job, basically manual job that we had in the auto industry, and basically gradually people move from manual job toward the cognitive job, professional jobs. Most of the jobs that we had so far over the last 4 decades were the professional jobs. But AI, cognitive basically, or generative AI, that's exactly the area that is attacked. Okay. So that's the key. So then we're going to think of basically AI as a kind of cognitive automation technology. Okay. I'm not going to go basically through how these technologies basically work. You know, is I just let me spend 1 minute basically how these technologies basically work. 2 minutes how these technologies work. Because that's quite critical to understand how these technologies are likely to shape the job market. Okay. This is basically the summary of how ChatGPT works. Some of you know, some of you basically heard my talk. So the ChatGPT is based on this idea that you have a you have an incomplete sentence, and you want to build a system that completes that sentence. So you have a sentence. So here, for example, the best thing about AI is its ability to That's the incomplete sentence. The initial basic idea behind ChatGPT was to build a system that can complete the sentence. What is the next word here? So the best thing about AI is its ability to, we want to basically predict which basically word come after this, okay? So they built enormous computational power and a beautiful, very powerful computer went to Wikipedia and looked all the similar sentences and see which word come basically after with the higher frequency. So for example, these are the word that comes after this sentence. So word like learn with a frequency of 4.5%, predict 3.45%, make 3.8%, and then the machine select the word that comes with a higher frequency. So in this case, basically the next word would be, for example, learn, and then next, and then next, and then next, and in that way, the machine basically complete the sentence. That's a simple idea. Okay. And that something happened that no one expected. Are you with me? I'll be putting. Then something happened that no one expected. Okay. So these are the way that they train the machine to actually go and learn. What is the next word here? Go and learn. What are the missing words here? Okay, they gave incomplete sentences to the machine, and they wanted the machine to predict which basically word is missing. What happened next was beautiful. And this is one of the most important discoveries of humanity. So those who basically are in this field, they think that, okay, we noticed something that no one expected, and this is going to have enormous impact. What is that? Okay. So they trained the system in this way, and then they realized that the system, even if it did not basically instruct it, the system gradually learned the connection between concepts. Then we realized that, look, the system actually understands that eagle, deer, camel, bear, cow, all of them are related with each other. All of them are animals. They tried to basically train the system one sentence at a time, but then the system started accumulating knowledge and appreciating that certain concepts are related to each other. Okay. So things like fig, apricot, peach, cherry, these are basically all of them are fruit. And then all of a sudden, those who were developing ChatGPT, they realized that the system gradually learning that certain concepts are related to each other. Why this is important for jobs? Why is this important for jobs? The reason that it's important for job is this, okay? Then basically we appreciated that the system developed a kind of a theory of the world. The natural language that we have, this is the essence of what I'm going to discuss. And then I'm going to go to case studies, and the discussion will not be torches. But in my view, if someone is going to appreciate what type of basically expertise are needed in the future and younger generation where they need to invest, this is quite critical. This is quite critical, okay? So imagine, look at the text that we have in the medical schools, medical basically. Those texts capture our theories of how the human body works and how human body responds to different drugs. In accounting, in finance, the literature that we have, the natural language that we have, is actually capturing the theory of the finance that we have. Okay? Well, basically, now we know, and that's one of the most important discoveries of basically modern life, modern time. And they say that it's more important than electricity, is this one. That over time, when you train the system system have a basic view of the world. In the same way that as a finance expert, you have a view of the financial sector. As a basic medical profession, you have a view of the human body and how does it work. The system ought to know the same thing. Okay. And then, of course, the second thing that they noticed is also beautiful. Okay, the first thing that they noticed that, okay, when you train the system develop a view of the world. It builds a theory of the world. and uses that theory of the vote to make prediction and solve problems. And uses that theory of the vote, okay? I'm going to give you a lot of examples in a minute, okay? So the other thing that they notice is this: as you expand the size of these models, as you input more and more data into these models develop further capabilities. The early models could not actually solve simple mathematical questions. Even the simple mathematical problems, they could not answer. But as the models become more and more complex, and you feed more data into these models, they started actually doing better at first. Okay. So, okay, that's basically that's the foundation. Okay. I'm going to ask you this question. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to discuss a couple of basic research papers, and then based on discussing this research paper, tell the younger generation what type of expertise are likely to become obsolete as a consequence of this type of technology, and what type of expertise actually become more and more relevant and immediately develop. Okay. So let me ask you this question. Let me ask you basically this question. Okay. In Harvard Business School, one of the things that we have is the business cases. Okay, when we teach MBAs, we teach them basically 5 or 6 business cases. Okay. In Harvard Business School, we have around 60,000 case studies. What would happen to the CEOs if you have a system that actually can go and learn all these cases, summarize it, categorize it, and if you have a question, then immediately tells you, okay, there are 20 cases like this, and that's exactly what happened in those cases. What happened? What happened? That's the kind of
You
thing.
can, well, what if something is not happening?
Beauty. We come to. Okay, the first case that I'm going to discuss, so that's the foundation. So let me summarize what I'm talking about is this. So the kind of technology that we are discussing is a cognitive automation technology. Okay? And why they are capable of automating cognitive tasks? Because I trained on natural language. Natural language captures the theories that we have regarding the world. And these the system learn the theories that we have regarding the world, and they use these theories to answer questions and to solve problems. Okay. Okay. I'm going to skip a little. Okay. For example, does anyone come from the venture capital market? VC, okay? Okay. So one of the challenging tasks, basically, in the venture capital sector is that people come with a business plan, pitch you their plan, and the key challenge that the venture capitalists have, besides the raising fund, is to decide where to invest in a plan. Am I right? If I'm wrong, not all the challenges, one of the key challenges is, okay, how do you decide whether to invest in this business project or not? Okay. This is an example of a cognitive task. This is not a manual task. This is actually not an easy task. I've been working with some of VCs in the past, okay? And they always came to us, what is the best investment strategy in that segment of the market? How we select a startup have the capability to grow and expand. The first paper that I want to discuss with you and show you the result, and then start discussing, if that's the case, what type of experiences you need to develop in future is this, okay? A paper came out quite basically about a month ago, okay? What is that paper about? So it has access to the data from a VC firm. So a VC firm invested in 138 startups, okay? They analyzed many business plans, and they invested in 138 cases, okay? The way that the VC firm basically work is this. Any plan they receive, they give a score from 0 to 100. And then based on that score, they decide where to invest or not. Okay. So what this paper does is beautiful. Okay. What this paper does is actually feed a book on how to VCs invest in a startup into ChatGPT. And let the ChatGPT learn how VCs invest. And then they ask ChatGPT to evaluate the same 138 or basically cases. Yes, please.
I'm questioning whether the story was based mostly on, business data and so on and so forth, or whether there was also a dimension of, how should I put it, the gut feeling of connection.
Beautiful. We got to come here. Let's give you basically an example so that, you see where I'm going. In say a few years ago, if you basically ask someone, could you build a machine, a computer to basically write the poems? They would have said no. Okay? But 2 years ago, I was teaching an MBA class. After basically the MBA students were quite happy. When I basically went back to my office, I asked ChatGPT to write a poem and thanked my MBA student, and I posted that poem on LinkedIn. Then the head of the school, basically Professor Fiona Devine, emailed me saying that, Reza, we know that you have a heavy accent, you never learn English, where did this poem come from? And she was surprised. My brother got a baby, immediately went to, I asked his name, went to ChatGPT and asked basically, well, write a poem for this baby. And then there's my brother's wife, Carl, that's the best gift that I ever had. What a good English you have. I didn't say that it comes from ChatGPT, but look at this, how far we have gone. Basically, poems is something that, look, you see what you mean?
Agreed, it's still.
Okay, become, okay? Become. So, is this, look at it, I want you to basically give you a feeling where we are going. That's my role today. And you are intelligent enough to draw the conclusion yours. These are the early days of this technology. It's that 2 or 3 years old. The first paper was 2017. And where we are, 2025. Okay, it's 7 years. But the first model came 2022. 3 years. How far we have gone. Okay? Let's think how far cell phone has come over the last 20 years. And then you see basically how far we can go with this technology. Okay, let me basically continue because I have limited time. Look at this. This is kind of an instruction that they give. The paper that I'm discussing used actually ChatGPT 3.5. That is basically more clumsier than my grandma. It's about the first basically kind of ChatGPT that we have. It's not the latest one. Okay. So that's basically what they said. Okay. They said to ChatGPT, you are an experienced venture capitalist. Okay. You have also written a textbook on how to make successful investment in startup companies and have taught a course based on it in the MBA program. They told the machine, think of yourself as a venture capitalist. You have written a book on basically how to invest in a startup, and you have been teaching a course on this topic in a business school. Okay? So, and your textbook built on practical experience as well as on academic research. Then they ask, okay, based on the textbook that you have written, evaluate this 138 or whatever business plan and rank them which one they have to basically invest. Okay. So they fed a textbook on how to invest in a startup into the ChatGPT so that ChatGPT learn how to invest. And then they ask the ChatGPT, when the venture capitalists try to assess the business plan, they look at the team. Who are the founders? Who are in that startups? They look at the execution plan that they have. They look at the financial that they have. They look at what are the summaries that they prepare for the VCs to convince the VCs. Okay. They look at the innovation and the value proposition, business model, and then on that basis they evaluate the business plan. They ask ChatGPT to do the same. Look at the team. Look at the business model. Everything. What do you see here? What do you see here? Okay. So this is it. Basically the dotted line is basically what is the evaluation that the VCs have. Then basically the green continuous line is a ChatGPT 3.5, not the latest ChatGPT. What do we see here? Okay. And here we have investment likelihood. So the VCs, okay, the likelihood that this basically startup succeed and we invest is 10%, 20%, 30%. So look at this, the green line are the likelihood that the machine gave these to each plan. And then the dotted line are those that come from the humans. What do you see here? I'm not friend or not, we joke with each other. Absolutely, absolutely. This part is close to each other. And remember, what is that going on? This is ChatGPT 3.5, not the latest one. OpenAI has basically, I use it multiple times. They have a service, you need to basically pay £200 per month. It's like a Concorde, the most advanced aircraft. Is that the capability is no comparison with the kind of ChatGPT that we have access to. Okay, so see, okay, there are lots of basic things. Okay, the schools basically okay that which are successful, which are not successful. You can say everything is close to each other. Okay. So what? Yes, please.
Sorry. I believe it will be very interesting if we have maybe, I don't know, the same research could be in 5 years' time to see actually the actual what really happened.
Exactly.
Exactly, because that's not an improvement in outcome.
Could you repeat so that everyone listen to it? Yeah.
So what I'm saying is here it shows like what the business, like the investors compared to ChatGPT.
Yes.
So we put it as an example, which shows almost 100% flashback. But it will be interesting to follow in this case. I don't know in 5 years' time to see actually how those businesses have done. This would be interesting.
Actually, they are experimenting, taking place. Okay, now actually, beautiful. Exactly. That's exactly what is happening. Okay, and they are. Let me give you I don't know how many minutes I have, more minutes I have. Okay. Okay. So a recent paper has come out from MIT. Okay, let me tell you this. Okay, a recent paper has come out from MIT. Okay, and this paper is about material design. In material design, what the engineers basically do, what the researchers do, they know different chemical components, and then they basically, based on their knowledge of different chemical components, they actually combine these chemical components to build new materials. That's what they do, okay? To build new materials. And so there are 2 stages in this material design. You combine different chemical components to create new material, then you go to the lab and test the properties of these materials. Steel, cement, you name it. And test it. Okay. So there's an experiment done at MIT. They had basically a lab, a famous lab for material design. There were 100 researchers in that lab. They equipped 50 of them with the latest generative AI that trained on the chemical properties of material. And the other basically 50, no ChatGPT, no generative AI. What is fascinating is this, that those who were equipped with basically generative AI, much quicker they came up with new ideas and new combination and new products than those who were not equipped. But more importantly, when they went to the lab and tested the properties of these materials, those basically suggested by ChatGPT had a much basically properties. The number of patents that they have applied, those who basically had access to ChatGPT, is 3 times higher than those who did not have access. So you already have experimental evidence. You already have experimental evidence. Give you two more examples, each of them 5 minutes, and then basically bring it to the basic quality. I'll have a little bit of discussion. This one I discussed last time as well, but I think it's beautiful because it's simple, it's powerful, and give us a kind of insight. What type of expertise are likely to be automated, and what type of expertise are becoming increasingly critical? Okay. Ideation. When you are a manager, product development, one of the challenges that you have is actually to come up with the new basic ideas and then assess the ideas and basically then develop a prototype and take it to the market. Okay. In idea development, that's critical. The way I put it, that's critical. In idea development, in product development, there are multiple stages. One stage that often actually takes time is to come up with the initial ideas. And then the second stage is to assess the ideas, the evaluation. Okay. And finally, of course, you take it and test it and these things. Very simple. Yeah. So a group of researchers from the business schools, different business schools, they wanted to see, okay, how these machines that we have are good at ideation, creating ideas. You want to go to basic committee, you want to go basically to a board, you sit down and think, what are the ideas that I need to discuss in the board? Okay, that's the ideation. Okay. So there are three basically famous researchers, and they've been teaching product development in business school, Harvard, INSEAD, and Wharton. So we have three basically famous professors. They have been teaching ideation, product development to MBA students for 20 years in top business school like Harvard, INSEAD, and basically Wharton. And they had kept the basic exam question that used to give to the MBA student. And they had kept the answer to these exam questions. So they had a data set. What question they gave in the past to the MBA student for product development, and what are the answer, what are the product that the MBA student basically came up with in response to those questions. Okay, so they had both the question and the answer. And they had the mark that they gave to a student. Okay, that's there. Okay. What they did, they gave the same questions to ChatGPT and asked ChatGPT to generate ideas in the same way that you ask a student to generate ideas. Okay? And when they generated ideas, they send these ideas, both those generated by a student and those generated by the machine. They send it to the expert in the field without telling them which one comes from the machine, which one comes from the humans. And they ask them to basically rank it. Okay? Beautiful. So the paper is based on the 3 data sets. The first data set created by a student in the elite business school. The second data set created by ChatGPT without any training. The third basically data set created by ChatGPT with a little bit of training. You can train ChatGPT to do a better job. Okay? You can give basically a few examples and tell, okay, that's the kind of thing that I need. So there are 3 basically data sets. One comes from, a student, MBA student for 20 years. One comes from ChatGPT without any training. One comes from ChatGPT with a bit of training. Okay? So what happened? This is this thing, unfortunately, I'm too old now. But when I was young and a student, I could not imagine these things. Is there something wrong with humanity that gets used to technology quite quickly? But they're magical, okay? So they told ChatGPT this: you are a creative based entrepreneur looking to generate new product ideas. The product will target college students in the US, it should be a physical product, not a service, not a or software. I like a product that could be sold around $50. The ideas are just ideas. Don't worry if the idea was basically do not exist. The product need not yet exist, nor it basically may necessarily be feasible. Just come with ideas. Okay. They gave the question, and they asked ChatGPT to create 10 ideas. When we ask basically MBA student, I can see some of the beautiful faces here, my MBA student. When you ask them to come up with a product, some of the MBA students come from this basic type of product. This is one typical product that MBA students are commonly come with. Okay. Many basically prefer high-heel basically shoes for those type of occasions. Then walking basically in high-heel shoes are difficult. One of the common ideas that our MBA students come with, okay, a foldable basic shoe, okay, that you can use as a comfortable shoe when you walk into the center, and they put it up there basically so that you look nice. And
You're still waiting.
yeah. Absolutely. So that's the kind of idea that MBA students come up. Okay. What basically happened is this. Okay. So they asked ChatGPT for each question to come up with 10 answers. And they send this answer to expert without telling them which of them come from human and which of them come from machine. Okay? So that's the beauty of that's the result that they have. This is a summary of the result that they have. Okay? So this basically is not the median, is the average quality of the proposals, of the ideas that we have. So that's the average basically quality of ideas produced by humans. That's the average quality of basically produced by ChatGPT without any training. And that's the average quality of basically, ideas produced by the machine with a little bit of training. What do you see in this data? What do we see in this data? Okay, it's not basically alien generation of AI. The quality of the ideas that produced is actually slightly higher than human ideas. Okay.
Same standard deviation also.
Okay, true. Okay, so my point is this. We are interested in the future of jobs and the kind of a skill that we need in the future. And this is a beautiful case to reflect on it. Okay? That's the kind of a cognitive job that the managers do. Okay? What do we learn from this and the previous case? Which direction we to go? Okay? What we learn here is this. In the product development, there are certain stages. The first stage is coming with the ideas. That actually could be automated quite effectively. It has no cost. Sometimes those who are MBA students, they appreciate the points I'm making. Sometimes they sit down with 5 or 6 cups of coffee, thinking for hours and hours to come up with 2 ideas. But using ChatGPT, in a second, without any cost, you can come with different ideas, hundreds of ideas. This type of basic automation, what does it tell us? The kind of experience that become basically critical is the evaluation capability, not the ideation capability. Ideation can be basically ideation can be automated. But evaluation is actually more difficult. Comparing basically bringing you started very well. The gut feeling, the implicit knowledge that you have, the tacit knowledge that you have to evaluate that become more critical. Okay, in the previous case that we have, in this case, that basically investment in a startup. Okay, what the system can quickly do and reasonably well, and give you the reason why basically the system ran that basically a startup higher than the other. You can use the system to narrow down basically and basically keep 50 or 60 of them, and then you start evaluating. Or you can basically think of it, don't basically select anything, but you have another source of information that could improve the quality of decision making. That's the least you could do. That's the least you could do. Okay? So, okay, let me discuss this last case, and then I'm going to discuss a beautiful paper that just came out, and it tells us actual data, what type of expertise are managers are becoming obsolete, what type of expertise are managers are becoming increasingly desired. Enormously large data set. The last one that I'm going to discuss is really fascinating, okay? But we're moving quite quickly, okay? Look at this question. One of the favorite papers that have come out and has created enormous basic discussion in the literature, okay? What is the question that we have here? Okay. Look at basically Apple. One of the challenges that Tim Cook has as a CEO of Apple is to constantly predict what basically Microsoft is doing. To constantly predict what basically Samsung is trying to do. Thank you so much. Okay? Predicting what your rivals are going to do. That's a challenge. Am I right? Okay? And even basically when you are operating in this region, you constantly try to understand what your rival is going to do. That's the first one. Okay. The other one is this. One of the challenges that major firms have is from which direction a disruption might come. These are top-level managerial tasks, top-level managerial decisions, predicting what your rival is going to do, which area your rival is investing, which technology is likely to be disruptive and undermine the firm. When you are operating the firm as a CEO, as a manager, could you think of any more important question than this? Okay? Okay? So how traditionally CEOs tackle this type of question, and how AR enable us to tackle this type of question? Okay? Quickly, 5 minutes, the last case, and then 2 minutes for the other one, then I bring it to a close. My students are waiting, unfortunately. Okay? So how could managers predict rival investment decisions, rival strategies, and so forth? In business, in competitive market, you predict what your rival is going to do, and then you put a plan in place to deal with your rival. That's a challenge that we have. Okay. And the same, how could managers predict future investment opportunities, technological disruption? Fascinating, fascinating. So, a paper has come out, and it has become basically quite a valuable startup, almost $1 billion startup. What this paper has done is this. Normally, firms, public firms, they publish a document every year called earnings calls. And in that earnings calls, they describe the state of the firm, the risk that the firm are facing, and the direction that the firm takes. These earnings call papers are often 200 or 300 pages. Okay? So, like Apple produce basically have earnings calls basically multiple times per year, the same with other firms. But basically, this paper has done, and this startup and the paper has done is this. They collected the earnings calls from year 2000 to 2020. And they gave thousands of these earnings calls to the ChatGPT. And they put lots of questions to ChatGPT and train the ChatGPT. So they build a system on the top of ChatGPT that learns these earnings calls and see their structure in these earnings calls, and then answer questions. And recently what they have done, not only the earnings calls, also the patent that each firm has, also added to this information. So imagine you give the earnings calls of Apple, Samsung, and thousands of similar firms to the ChatGPT. Also, you go and collect all the patents that the firm has and all the patents that the firm has recently registered, and you give to the system. Okay. What this paper has done, I think it's quite important. It's very, very important. You know, let's give you an anecdote and to basically emphasize the important point that we discussed. Okay. I was in Germany in 1992. Okay, in Germany in 1992. At that time, the size of it, basically Cell phone was like a brick. Everyone there, for the first time, I saw basically a cell phone. Everyone had a bag around his shoulder carrying the phone. And I said, these guys, why they do that? Why you don't leave this brick at home? Look from 1992 to 2025, how far the cell phone has come. The difficulty of us and the firm is that we don't actually think of the progression and the advancement that the technology are going to have. These cases that I'm discussed at the moment are very basic, but we should not think that the capability of these systems remain the same way that they are, okay? Let me tell you what this basically paper has done, okay? The idea behind this paper is this. You have ChatGPT and then basically earning calls. These are the input that goes into ChatGPT, and then you give a prompt instruction, and based on the instruction, you want the ChatGPT to predict where Apple is going to invest next year, in which technologies Samsung is going to basically invest. Okay? So a question like this. Okay. So that's the prompt that goes into the system. This type of thinking is something novel, adequate to what we have. Okay? The following text is a summary of the earning calls of a firm. Based on this summary alone, answer this question. How does the firm plan to change its capital in basically spending over the next year? That's the question that we go. How Samsung is going to change its basically investment next year? Okay. And then based on this, okay, give an answer like this. Increase substantially, increase, no change, decrease, and decrease substantially. Okay. And then they collected the answer that the system does. Okay. So this basically graph, to bring the discussion to a close, is this. So this graph, we have basically two lines. This is the actual capital expenditure. What happened next year? You asked the question basically earlier on, please, okay? So imagine we use the machine in 2023, how basically friends are going to invest in 2024. That's how this paper works. They use the machine in 2023 to predict what investment Apple or similar firm are going to make in 2024. Basically, the green line is basically the actual investment in 2024. The dotted line is the prediction of the machine. What do you see here? What do you see here?
Correlation is all based on past data, right?
Yeah, exactly.
This is 20.
So okay. So that's how they do it. That's how it's how they do it. What they have done is this. Okay, what they have done is, I'll give you an example. So they had the data from year 2000 to basically 2020 basically. What they have done is this. Each year, they train the machine to predict what the firm will do next year. 2000, predict what will happen in 2001. Okay? 2001, see basically what happened in 2020, 2000 basically 2, and then on and on. Okay? So that's the question that we have. Then what you see here? High correlation.
Based on company guidance in the course, right?
But look at this. Look at this. Okay. Okay. The question is this. Look at this. At the lowest level, what the system does. Okay. At the lowest, what the system does.
Places analysts.
But look at this. Look at this one. Is it a small cognitive activity of human or not? That's the question I put down.
Based on language, yes. I mean, technically it's interesting from an AI perspective, but for the investment industry, I don't see where the extension from that is. This particular use case, right?
So look at this.
They're reading the text of what the company said they will invest, and they're saying.
Just I finish in 5 minutes. My apologies, because this is quite important. This is quite important. Look at this. When you go to make a decision, you have many sources of information. Am I right? Okay. Is this a little bit of additional information or not? Okay. Then I'm happy with that. That's what I'm talking, okay? I'm not going to argue, but that's, okay, is another bit of additional information that we have. What is the beauty of this basic system is this, not only basically rush through, okay? Not only it tells you basically what Samsung is going to do, it's also give you a reason for that.
It's like playing chess.
Sorry?
It's like playing chess, right?
Okay.
Look at them, predicting moves.
In this case, no, it's just reading the text of their guidance
Okay,
and suggesting if they will increase investment or not, that's it. It's not saying what.
so, the list is basically this one. Let's finish and then have a discussion later, okay? The list, what happened to basically, okay, okay? Look at this. For example, okay, one firm, you basically predict that this firm is going to basically invest in that area and also give you the reason what basically the system says to invest in that area. Okay, it gives you the reason based on that. Okay, so what they have done, they have a new paper. Unfortunately, I did not have time to put it. Okay, based on the pattern and the earning curve, they predict what basically product the firm is going to bring out in 5 years' time. And your colleague here might be right. That's based on the text. But actually summarizing that information and giving it to you in a second, that's a great achievement. The list that the system has here is comprehending the text, summarizing the text, and effectively giving it to you. If you're a top management team and you have basically 200 firms in that sector, and you want to constantly have an update of that 200 firms, that's an enormous achievement.
How correct was the prediction of the system?
Very good, very good, very good, very good, very good. Okay, they went to Duke. They're working with the Duke University.
Okay.
Okay, and they basically Duke University basically surveys CFO of 30,000 firms every year, and they test how basically related the prediction of this system is with the CFO surveys. Very, very clear. Very, very clear. So moving on, okay? So tell you one more application of this system and then bring it to close. What basically this system actually does is this. It tells the CEO, imagine you are operating basically in a sector. What is the dominant area that the firms are basically investing? Understanding what are the dominant areas that basically your rivals are investing, that's a beautiful piece of information. Okay? I'm not saying that it's making a decision. I'm not going to use this one for decision making. But in terms of basically telling you which direction that the sector is going, where basically the firm are investing in itself, that's a beautiful achievement. Okay? That's the beautiful achievement. And then, so that's basically right. Okay? So the system could basically help understanding rivals' strategy. The system basically could help identify investment opportunities. The system actually could predict where the competition will come from. If you basically predict where your rival is investing, then you can actually see which firm invest in where. On that basis, you could basically guess where the competition would be in the future. Okay? And then basically, okay. So based on this, what type of expertise do you need in the future? One of the expertise that you need in the future is actually the ability to evaluate the outcome of this system. Okay? I used this analogy in the past, and I'm going to basically use that analogy again. The way that I think is this: in the UK political system, you have the ministers, they don't have any expertise in the field. You have the minister in charge of finance with no finance background. You have the minister in charge of healthcare with no healthcare background. How the UK system works, they put basically 10, 15 experts in economics and finance basically around the minister. They put basically 10, 15 experts in the healthcare around the minister. We have the service sector, the service basically, and I don't know, forgotten because at the moment I'm not in a good shape. So you have a set of basically expert in the area, but the minister does not have the expert. What is the role of the minister? is to hear different ideas from these experts, and then you evaluate it, and on that basis, make a decision. The way that the future is going is this. Sooner or later, you have 10 experts, but they are in art, and they are around you. They generate ideas. What type of expertise are becoming increasingly important? I'm going to show you the job data. I'm going to show you the job data. Those expertise, those experts that can read the outcome of these basically machines and evaluate
Decision making.
the decision making. So these are at least gives you a little bit of input to decision making. I'm not going to say that improve decision making by 100%, that's wrong. But even if these systems make it 5%, 10% improvement, that's the big achievement. Okay. So what did data tell us? Don't be worried. Okay. Don't be worried. As an MBA student, as a manager, don't be worried. So this is the data on job posting in the US. When you look at the job posting, job vacancies in the US, the fraction of vacancies looking for managers are going down. Okay? So you can see basically the manager share in the job vacancies have been going down. So in the past, like for example 2010, 20% of jobs, vacancies in one way or another related to managers. But that has been going down. Okay. So the fraction of basically jobs in the US, when you look at the job advertisement and job description, those who relate to managers have been going down. What about this one? That's beautiful. That's beautiful. The fraction of basically jobs that refer to managers and somehow related to AI has been going up. I've done my job. I'm here for this reason. I've done my job. I've done my job. What is the implication of this in the future? A manager that can basically know these technologies, know how to use it, and enhance its own instinct and gut, filling that dimension, this type of manager has a better job. AI will not take your job. But those who know how to use AI will take your job. That's the message that
How you started. That's how you started. The first people who know how to use automation.
Exactly. Yeah. Just 1 minute, one more minute, and then 1 more minute. So that's in terms of the big picture. Basically, in terms of the big picture, the fraction of job that basically refer to manager is going down. But one type of basically manager becoming more and more in demand. And the other managers that somehow capable of using AI system. Okay? It's not about automating decision making. We're not talking of that. We're talking of basically using these techniques for better decision making. Okay? So that's the last basic slide that I have. Okay? So which basically okay. What this basically piece of data is about is a little bit complex. So I need is warm and you're tired, I am tired as well. But we need a little bit of basically 1 or 2 minutes to understand what's going on. Okay. What they have done, is this. They look at each firm in the US, okay, that they said, okay, the firm that basically advertise for AI jobs, okay, what are the jobs they advertise? What are the expertise they want? Okay, so the firm that advertise for jobs, for managers, what other expertise are they advertise? Okay. Things like supervision, monitoring has gone down. No need for that. But those who are the vision makers, that become increasingly important. I'm teaching an MBA course, and I told them, okay, Trump today is going to start his business job. He's in the wrong place. He actually needs to come teach business school. The expertise that he has is becoming increasingly important. Look at the data, and that's I'm familiar with data. Trump, what is beautiful expertise that he has. He's a beautiful storyteller. Absolutely. He built simple narrative. He pick up a few things and build a narrative and constantly repeating it and shape the nation. That's exactly this in the age of AI. That's the kind of expertise that we need. So this is summarize this thing. Lots of data is coming from different places. From Canada. A recent paper came from Canada, okay? As a consequence of automation, the managers, the number of managers, middle managers in Canada has gone down. What is the reason for that? When you automate, the need for supervision and monitoring individuals goes down. So those individuals, their expertise there in monitoring and supervision, they become obsolete like this old man. What type of expertise in Canadian-based firm have become more important? Those obviously can create a business model. That can create a vision for the firm. The soft social skill that you can communicate with the other firm, with your employees, these all become basically important. Okay? So team and collaboration become increasingly important. Creativity become increasingly important. Being a sales force, that's quite important. Setting the sales goal, that's quite important. And then problem solving the problem. But not individually, using these machines, these basic technologies are coming to solve a problem. Okay? And then, being self-started, being independent. Independent can basically tackle a problem. These are the kind of skills that are becoming important. So, without any doubt, lots of cognitive skills are becoming automated. My own daughter, is in a corporate finance. Almost 18 months in that job. The pace of change in that job has been staggering. What she used to do when she started and what she is doing. At the start, writing credit paper, now evaluating credit paper. And that's how you do it. Evaluation, critical thinking. Basically, the art of storytelling, building narrative, social skill, soft skill is not increasingly becoming. My apologies, I have to apologize, not in my good shape. I was teaching, shouting from 9 to now before coming, no energy, but that's what. Thank you so much.
That was comprehensive.
The good thing with the teacher is this: as a teacher, we never do physical harm, possibly mental harm. So good, thank you so much.
Yes.
It's going away.
To be honest with you, we are early stages. In 2 or 3 years, everything, most of the things like I said, extent is the secret. But my only suggestion is this: have an open heart with these techniques. Use it to complement the beautiful expertise that you gentlemen have. Give me your hand. Absolutely.
This is Dr. Amin, he teaches on the MBA program.
Sorry?
Dr. Amin teaches in the MBA program. It's just accounting and finance.
Excellent.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
One question if you have an answer.
Okay.
One quick intuitive question, basically about the graph. Yeah, sure. There are 2 graphs. One is the human graph. One is drawn by the machine.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I look at the machine, right?
Okay.
But the machine is unless the human is group that machine feed the data. Why there is a fluctuation in humans? The humans use the same machine, but you have a new data, which is quite exponential difference. So why?
If I pick up basically your answer is this. These machines, they don't have a deterministic point. They have a probabilistic point. So 2 persons might take the same basic prompt, but different answers come. Okay? And also at the moment, because the regulative framework is not clear, the owner of these machine also, they monitor and they impose certain restrictions. What question they answer, what question they don't answer. You put the same question in Gemini for Google and ChatGPT. ChatGPT is a little bit freer, give you a total different answer. Put in Google, give you a conservative answer.
Depends on, the level of, the code and how much you can read.
The underlying domain, I think, is a big difference. So for the materials and the chemistry, you have some rules like these allow you, or scanning for brain tumors, matching doctors, you know, be better than. One or two companies that
Google had difficulty.
it's so unpredictable. Predicting what the humans will do. The humans don't do a better job than the machine.
There is the thing that is wrong in the mix because of.
It's been a while.
I was just wondering, some jobs, right? Tomorrow is the last day.
Yeah.
If you
Send to
suggest-
alumni. Yeah. Yes. Job interested, send to alumni.
But then going forward.
Still, you didn't say, we are just
We said
collecting.
we wait for the deadline and then we send. Yeah.
There is no,
No, by the deadline.
By
we
the
send it.
deadline. there is one job which is quite similar to my profile, so I will check.